I'm going to do a super quick intro, and I'm going to hand over to Kevin, because we have an extraordinary amount of knowledge here that he has, and so it would be a shame for me to take up any of his time. He's got a lot of wisdom, a lot of experience, business experience, working with brands. I'm not going to list them all, but like brands that you'd all know the name of, and and leaders in different brand spaces. He's been a mentor and on stage with people like Anthony Robbins. He's been on stage with business legends like Christo Hall. No, he's been amazing with Basic Bananas and been a mentor for a lot of. Some of you are here on the session. Kevin has been a coach of yours for quite a while, so Kevin does coach as part of the Basic Bananas team. He's been a mentor and delivered the Clever Bunch as well. And delivered Genius Bunch sessions and so on, and presented all around the world. We ourselves have flown him around the world to different events and things, and he's been far around the world, to Europe at events and all over the place, Singapore, you name it. So what I suggest is take a lot of notes, and don't be shy. If you do have questions, post in the chat. Kevin will check in on the chat, and I'm going to be quiet. If you need anything from me, Kevin, let me know, but otherwise I'll just be here quiet in the background. I'll pop my camera off so everyone can fully focus on the knowledge that you have to share today. So over to you. Thanks so much.
Wonderful. Thank you for such a great introduction. If only I could get my mother-in-law to watch one of these webinars, it would be very helpful. So we're going to jump straight in today. We are taking care of this amazing topic of how your beliefs are limiting your profit. Now, once we did the marketing for this, I reflected on it a little bit further, and I actually think the word limiting is maybe a little bit soft, because yes, your beliefs are impacting how much revenue you make, they're impacting how much profit you keep, they're impacting how much wealth you have. But I would even like to go a step further, because what I've discovered in the 2 or more decades that I've been working in this field with business owners and business leaders is that actually your beliefs can be sabotaging your profit. If we haven't got the right psychology, the right mindset, we will actively do things that will stop us from achieving higher levels of revenue, profitability, and wealth. And I'm going to talk through today how that happens and what we can do about it. And I think in this 2 decades that I have been in the industry, I think this is hands down the most important topic. Once we shift our psychology and our mindset, is going to lead directly to more profitability quicker than any strategy that I can give you. Now, as Christoph said, I've got a lot to share. I prepared for like closer to a 90-minute presentation, so I'm going to get as much as I can for you in the 60 minutes. And I know we're recording, so if we happen to slip over a little bit, don't worry, we're going to capture that for you, and you can watch it afterwards. And I will stay around for the 90 minutes, if we get through the content, and then I'll be available for Q&A, at the end as well. So I really want to just start off by thanking you for being here. You're taking the time out of your day, out of your business, to focus on something that's really going to make a massive impact for you. Now, what I've done in order to make it as effective for you as possible, I've made it very interactive. So the more you participate, the more this is going to positively impact you. The more you participate, the more profitability is going to show up in your business. So if you're ready to participate fully today and get the most out of today's session, just write a yes or a yeehaw in the chat box. I just want to make sure that everyone is ready to show up and play. Yeah, I got a hell yes. Yep. You. Yep. All right, great. I'm with the right people. Now, I'd like to start off with a little bit of a metaphor. And the metaphor is that of a butterfly. I don't know if any of you have ever studied meteorology. There's this idea or this concept that a butterfly could flap its wings here, and in a complex weather system, that could cause a hurricane or a typhoon as far away as, Europe or the US. Okay, and the idea behind that is that small changes in a complex system can have a big result. And I think this is one of the areas in business where we can make a small change here, and it can make a big and lasting impact in the business. Is one of those areas of maximum leverage, an area where we can press a small amount of force and get a big amount of return. So just wherever you are watching this or listening to this, just say it loud now: small effort, big result. Small effort, big result. And if you're listening in a cafe or something, even more reason for you to say it. Say it out loud. Don't worry about those people around you. Small effort, big result. Okay, so when we put in the small effort in this area, it can have a big result. And this is how I work with business owners, small to medium-sized business owners and, executives and leaders. I work with them on the strategic items in their business, and all the levers that we can pull there. But I also help them re-encode their brain. Once we re-encode their brain, it gives quicker results. So I'll give you an example. There was a vice president of a supermarket chain I'm working with in the UK. And we started working through some of his beliefs around the business and his beliefs around what's possible. And that led to him doing a turnaround on 2 loss-making divisions in the business. They didn't believe these businesses could be turned around, but we shifted the mindset, and that actually allowed him to exceed his budget for the year by 35 million. So he got a big pat on the back. I was speaking with Joel. I don't know if any of you have met Joel. I don't know if Joel was on the call today from 1300 Gardening. Now, we had a chat maybe 6 months ago, and he's left me a very wonderful testimonial last week, and that's why I can share this with you. He was at a stage 6 months ago where he'd been working so hard and so long on his business that he was just in this place of burnout. He just want to get rid of this. He just want to sell it, just get rid of the business. He was done. And we had a conversation and worked through some of the options. And one of the options that came up that he was avoiding was onboarding a general manager for the business. And we worked through his beliefs around that and his psychology around that. And, come the end of the call, he decided, yes, that was the route he'd do. Rather than just getting rid of the business, he would go down this route, getting a general manager. Now, 6 months on, he's come back to tell me what an amazing result that was. By changing his thinking around that and getting the general manager, he's now freed up his time to go and win bigger tenders. He just this week got, a notice from an existing customer, a large government organization, who's going to keep him on for another 3 years because he's had time to put the work into that relationship. He's had time to do a renovation project, which he's made 6 figures on. He's had time to go and seek out a Pilates studio that he's buying into that's going to give him passive income. Now, all of that came about because we shifted one thought around this belief. Should he have a general manager or not have a general manager? And if we don't examine these beliefs, we miss these opportunities, and it can make the biggest difference. I want to give you one more quick example. And it's with a couple that we work with through Basic Bananas down in Melbourne. They run this awesome, sustainable jewelry business. And when we started working together, they set up this vision of what they want to accomplish in the next 3 years. Now, we shift their psychology and their mindset, and actually they accomplish their 3-year target in 6 months. Okay. Now, part of what changed for them is their belief in what they would be doing. We had, the jeweler who was making the jewels, we got him off of the tools and we got people in to do that for him, and there was a lot of time and energy going into, trying to maintain the family, cooking, cleaning, those things. We changed the thinking around that and got support for those kind of things. And it freed them up to the things that were going to provide the biggest value for them. And of course, that's allowed them to grow as well. So small effort, big result is the point I want to make. And I want to share with you a little bit about how I found out about this and why it became relevant. I was working as a financial executive with Qantas Business Travel. And when I was working in their organization, they would send me into the business units that weren't working to help turn them around. Now, strategically, I'd been trained to do that. I knew what to do in terms of the strategy, but in a business that isn't performing at its peak, a business that isn't going well, then the problem becomes that of the team. The team become stressed, they become emotional, and they can't function, they can't deliver what they need to deliver. And so I'd have these team members coming in to the office, and they would be crying on me. And the best strategy I had at the time was like, oh, here you go, like have a tissue. That was the extent of my skills. So I realized I needed to go and learn about communication and psychology and mindset. And when I went and learned about these things, I realized when I can change this, I can get a very different outcome. When I can help my team members change their thinking, I can get a very different outcome. And this is what's happening in your business right now. You may have some beliefs yourself that will allow you to accomplish more, but there's also that of your team members. If your team members haven't ever examined their beliefs and they're helping to make decisions and choices for your business, the chances are that your different team members are rowing in different directions. And that's making it even harder for you to get the result or the outcome that you want. I've got a client I'm working with in Brisbane on this at the moment. She's done a lot of work and we've shifted her mindset and her business is growing, but now she's put team members in. They don't have the right beliefs around what the value of their product is. The salesperson doesn't quite understand the value of what we're selling. So if the salesperson doesn't understand it, they're never going to convey with confidence to the team members. So we've got to get this right for you and for your team. And so one of the most important things I want to share with you then is in the universe, the most powerful forces we have are invisible. Okay, so it's kind of like gravity. You can't see it, but use it to your advantage every second. It's like the sound waves. You know, you don't know they're there, but you turn on the radio and the music comes. It's like the electricity. You know, you can't see it, but you put your finger in that socket and you're going to have a shock. And so this is what I want to share with you then, is that your business is a reflection of you and your team. But more importantly, the profit that you have is a reflection of you and your team. Okay, so we've got to get you both levels aligned. So if you're on this call and you really want to perform at a higher level, but you feel like there's a hidden block, then this is going to be really helpful for you, and you want to have a bigger positive impact. You're definitely in the right place. If you're someone, and I don't think there's going to be anyone like this on the call since we're in this awesome BB community. If you're someone who doesn't want to examine your mindset or do the work to positively change, you're not interested in having a bigger impact in the world, then you're not going to get the most value out of this session today. So now I know you've had your psychology and your mindset for your whole life, whether that's 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 plus years. So today is about awareness. In the time that we have, we can't unwind 50, 60 years of conditioning, but we can bring some of these things to your awareness. We're going to help you realize some of the things that you're thinking about. And once you have that awareness, then it makes it easy to start making the changes, because we have beliefs. Beliefs are effectively automated choices. Okay, we start making decisions in an automatic sense around wealth, money, leadership, sales. And if they're not the right programming, then you're not going to be making the choices that are going to maximize your profitability. So I want to bring these into your conscious awareness. So what I'm doing today is kind of like, I don't know if you ever had anyone film you and then you watch back the video and then you notice that you were doing something, you were tapping your feet or you were scratching your face, and you never knew you were doing that before. Now, it was aware for your audience, but it was never aware for you. But once you see it and you know it, then you can take the action. So this is what this is about. So if you're ready right now to bring awareness to these beliefs, just give me a yes in the chat box. Awesome, great. That's great. So then we're going to get into the core of your identity beliefs. We're going to uncover some money mindset beliefs. We're going to do this really powerful visualization technique, and we're going to get you some empowering affirmations to help you move this forwards. And then we're going to help rewire some of those beliefs so you can attract this more profit with less effort and less stress. And at the end of the call, I'm also going to give you an opportunity to help integrate all of this in a way that allows you to make the most of this session and get the biggest impact in the shortest time. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about a scientific experiment that was done. So these scientists in a lab, they were studying fleas, and they put these fleas have this ability, they're very tiny, but they can jump massive heights in relation to their body size. So they put these fleas in a container and they would put a lid on the container. Now, these fleas had the ability to jump significantly higher than the roof of the container, but because the lid was on, they kept jumping, hitting it, jumping, hitting it, jumping, hitting it. Now, they did this for so long, then the scientists took the lid off. These fleas had the capability of jumping way higher than that lid that's no longer there, but they would only ever jump to where the height of the lid used to be. They got conditioned and trained that they would only jump there. So even when the lid came off and the possibility and the potential was there, they still stayed within their conditioning. And I think that's what can be happening to a lot of us. We have had this conditioning over the years. You know, we've bumped into things and had these roofs or limits put on top of ourselves. And it's those limits that are stopping us from going through. So I want to call some of those out right now. And I want you to identify if you have any of these. So just for yourself, just note down on a piece of paper. I'm going to go through a few examples, a few common examples, and just give yourself like a score of 1 for each one of these if you feel like it sounds like you. So number 1 then, you know what you need to do, but you sometimes procrastinate. So if you've ever had any of these experiences, then give yourself a score of 1. So you sometimes procrastinate. You frequently feel overwhelmed. You have this feeling of overwhelm. There's too much going on, too much to do. Maybe you have this pattern of investing in programs and don't follow through. Maybe some of you, have been in the BB program for a while, and you still feel like you need to do something from module 2, 3, or 4 modules ago, and you still feel like you need to get to that. So you're not following through on things. Maybe you look around and you feel like other people manage to get the results and you don't. Even though you've got maybe the same course, same materials there, somehow it's working for them and is not for you. Maybe you, and entrepreneurs were great for this, you have this shiny object syndrome. You start this thing and then you're excited by this thing and then you're excited by this thing. So just keep noting down how many points you've got so far. Maybe you constantly feel anxious that you're not going to have enough money. Or maybe you have this fear that your clients that are working with you right now are going to quit. Or that when you put your marketing content out there, you're going to be ridiculed or rejected in some way. Or maybe you have this deep feeling of being alone in your business. It doesn't happen to all of us, but certainly some of us feel that. If you're feeling very alone in the business, maybe on some level in your business, you're not feeling good enough. Maybe you're feeling you don't add value and people are going to find you out at some point. Bit of this imposter syndrome. Or maybe you are working too many hours and not making as much dollars, not making as much money as you like. And maybe you're even paying your team more than you pay yourself. So now you don't need to write how many you got out of that yourself. I think you can keep that for yourself. But what I'd love for you to write in the chat box, if you scored 1 or more, it's down to belief and it's all changeable. So if you scored more than one or more, just write the word belief in the chat box. If you scored a 0, if none of those really related to you, then just type a 0 in the chat box. Alrighty, okay, a lot of belief. Any zeros? Beliefs, okay, it's beliefs all the way through. Alrighty, yes, okay. So let's get into this then. Marianne Williamson said, nothing binds you except your thoughts, nothing limits you except your fears, and nothing controls you except your beliefs. And that's what we're going to start uncovering in a second. I was on a call with a psychologist I work with a couple of weeks ago. So she's a solopreneur, it's only her and her business. And I caught some of her beliefs in the conversation, and her beliefs were around not being worthy of the money, not seeing the value in what she was doing. Okay. And we work through those beliefs, we challenge those beliefs, we change those beliefs. 2 days later, I get a message from her and she said, I've just put my price up 40% for new clients, right? And I get a message later, the new clients that she'd offered it to accepted, right? Now, it's interesting. She had this belief she wasn't worthy of it. Once she realized she was worthy of it and asked her clients for that, the clients paid. They had no objections, no concerns. So who'd like a 40% increase? If you like a 40% increase, then give me a yes in the chat box. That's right. So sometimes in some situations, it can really come down to us just having the belief in ourselves and charging what we're worth. And it's amazing how many times myself, I've increased my prices, or how many times I've had a client increase their prices, and they go out there and they ask the market for it, and the market just says yes, right? Now, I guess different businesses, different industries, there may be different challenges with that, but typically if we have the belief or conviction in ourselves and we go out there and ask for it, very frequently the market's going to say yes. So sometimes it's only ourselves holding ourselves back. So regarding this wealth and increase in profitability, then a lot of people want to have financial freedom. Typically, when I'm in a room of people, I ask people to put up their hand if they would like to have financial freedom. And normally 99% or more people say yes. But the reality is 99% of people want financial freedom, yet only 1% ever attains financial freedom. And it comes down to this combination of things. Okay, it comes down to this, and you can copy me here. We say what I think about, and you can do the action as well. What I think about, and I can't see you, so I'm just going to trust that you're doing it. But what I think about impacts what I feel, which impacts the actions that I take, and then the results that I get. So what I think about impacts what I feel, impacts the actions that I take, and the results that I get. If you're not doing this with me, is not getting encoded into your body. So what I think about impacts what I feel, impacts the action that I take, results that I get. Or you can write this one down if you like. You can say it in a different way. When I go there with my mind, I follow with my behind, right? So when you go there with your mind, you follow with your behind. So the question is, if all of this is down to your thinking and your mindset and your beliefs, where does your thinking come from? Maybe you can type some answers in the chat box. How did you get this thinking around wealth and profit and revenue? Where did it actually come from? Yes, John, great past experiences. Jenny, upbringing. Keenan, yeah, thinking happens, as in things that happen. Keenan, I recognize your name. Did you used to work at Power Living? Is that the same, Keenan? Your upbringing, your vision. You did, Keenan. Okay, Keenan, my wife is Jody. You used to work with Jody, so I remember you. You'll love some of the stuff we're doing, because I know you teach very similar things yourself. So family background, upbringing. Yes, so all of this is down to your family background, your upbringing. A lot of it happens to us prior to the age of 7. Now, the reality is, if we've not questioned this or worked through this, then it's kind of like having a 7-year-old drive your car. Would you want to have a 7-year-old drive your car? Like, no, there's no way you would do that. So if we haven't uncovered some of these beliefs, then we're going to keep running them. Now, I don't know about you, but I love my family to bits, but I don't know that they were the example of wealth or profitability that I really want to have for my life. Okay, they had a very different mindset. They had a mindset of being employed and, you know, making do and making ends meet. And so that wasn't necessarily the belief or the reality that's going to help me get the results that I want. So shifting that and changing that has allowed me to open up a lot of possibilities for myself. But a lot of this is very cultural as well. I work in different cultures, and and some of these things work across the whole country, the whole culture, the whole the belief system there. And so as I put some of these up on the screen, I think you can just answer right now. Money doesn't grow on trees. Money is the root of all evil, and it takes money to make out, right? So it takes money. When I was in Sweden, a guy shouted out, "It takes money to make out," right? So different things in different countries, I guess. And so it takes money to make money. Now, these are beliefs that are ingrained in us. We all know them. It's subconsciously seeped in, got into our brain in some way. And now these associations that we have are going to impact the actions that we take. As I say, these beliefs are choices that we're making, and we're then working on autopilot with them. So if these are in your system somewhere, then you're automatically running on these. And I want to give you an example. I'd love to ask a bit of a random question here. What are your associations with surfing? Who are the people who love surfing? Just give me, a yeah. Or and who are the people not really bothered by surfing? Meh. Yeah, got some yeps, some nopes. It's risk. Yeah. I asked Christo. I don't know if Christo is still on the line, but I asked Christo one day. Christo, tell me what are your associations with surfing? And he said, Kevin, surfing is the meaning of life, right? Surfing is the meaning of life. Now, any chance Christo gets to go out and surf, he's out there, he's on the water, he's doing it. He'll arrange his business around it and his life around it so he can surf. That was the first thing he said to me. I got on the call with him this morning. Hey, how are you, Christo? Yeah, I got out for surf this morning, right? It's his life. He has this great association with surfing. And in his mind, this is the experience of surfing, right? He's out there and he's doing it. My experience of surfing hasn't been the same. I had some lessons, didn't do very well. And this is my experience of surfing. Okay, this is me when I surf. And so when anyone says to me, come surfing, it's like, no, thanks, not interested. It's not going to be my thing. And so the point of this is just a little bit of a metaphor. If my vision of surfing was this, okay, or this, I'm going to have a very different experience, right? I'm going to be feeling very differently, thinking very differently, feeling differently, and taking different actions. I'm not going to be in a hurry to do it. But the point of all of this is bring this back around to wealth or money. The same is true. If we've had this situation where it's great, we may feel more encouraged to go after and get it. If we've had this situation where it's a bit of a, get chucked out, spun around and spat back on the beach, it's not going to be the thing that you want to do. And so the point I want to make then is we see the world not as it really is, but as we are. So if I put on my Christo specs and looked at the world through Christo's vision, I'm going to be in a hurry to go surfing. If I put on the vision of someone who has this great connection with wealth and money, then I'm going to see all these things around me. But if I want to put on these vision of how the world is hard, the world is tough, money is hard to come by, guess what? That's what I'm going to find and what I'm going to create. So if I said this differently, and you may want to write this one down, we don't believe what we see what we believe, right? We don't believe what we see what we believe. And so I was having a conversation with this guy here. Does anyone know who this guy is? Do you want to write down if you know who he is? Just type in the chat box. If you don't, you'll probably kick yourself. He's one of the most famous, iconic brands in the country. Yeah, Shane, you win there. It's Jim. This is Jim of Jim's Mowing. right? I think everyone's probably seen this guy's branding. You drive around the streets and one of his trailers are around somewhere. And I'm constantly listening for what people are saying in the conversations between what I'm asking them. What are the beliefs that come out? This guy started off a mowing franchise. We started off just a guy cutting people's lawns to make money to get through university. And he's now turned that into a business that does over 500 million per year, right? 500 million per year. So this guy knows a little bit about creating wealth and maximizing profitability. And he said this one thing which really stuck with me. He said, Kevin, there's opportunity everywhere. You just need to bend down and pick it up. There's opportunity everywhere. You just need to bend down and pick it up. What happens if you try that on? If you try that belief on right now, do you start to see some different opportunities or possibilities in your field, in your business? If you're walking around with gym specs on, looking through the world through Jim's eyes and seeing opportunity everywhere, is that going to bring up more opportunity for you? I'd love for you to just think about that. I want to, let's run through another couple of examples. I was listening to a sales trainer. I was having a conversation with him and he said this: everyone wants to spend money on marketing, and yet no one wants to spend money on sales. How do you think his business was going? Do you think his business was going great as a sales trainer, or do you think he was struggling? Everyone wants to spend money on marketing, but no one wants to spend money on sales, and he's a sales trainer. Give me a thumbs up if you think his business is going great, or a thumbs down if you think he may have had some challenges. Yeah, exactly, right? And we can hear this in the language. It's around us the whole time. We hear these things all the time. Now, he wasn't aware of that, but once we had that conversation, he was like, okay. And he caught it. Because if you have that belief, no one wants to spend money on sales, well, you're going to manifest that. You're going to find a way that no one says yes to your pitches or your proposals. And here's a common one. I hear this all the time with clients. So money is hard to come by. And so I had a client who had that belief, and we actually challenged it and worked through it. And he managed to flip it around and say money is easy to come by. And he found heaps of examples how actually that just wasn't true. He found an example of how he had this tax refund, how his property value had increased, how he'd been introduced to new clients. So all of a sudden, this belief, he challenged it, and he saw that actually there are plenty of examples in my life where that just isn't true. And then once he shifted that belief, it was amazing, because in the following weeks, when he said money is easy to come by, and that was a belief, and he has some examples, then he went out and actually started converting more clients, and it happened that quickly. Yeah, Keenan, great answer. Yeah, for the sales trainer, if he believes that people spend money on marketing, then he should go and get a job as a marketing trainer instead of a sales trainer. Maybe that's easier than changing his belief. Just change what you do, mate. That's a good idea. And so let's work through this. I want to work through with you and pull out, get some awareness around some of your associations. I want to split this exercise into two parts, okay? We're going to work through what money is, and I just want to pull out some of your associations, okay? And we're going to do your positive ones first. Whatever you think positively about money, I want you to write down. We're going to have maybe a minute on this, and I want you to write down as much as you can. So you may say money is happiness, money is fun, money is freedom, whatever your associations are. So I'm going to put a minute on the clock. Just get your pen and paper ready, and we're just going to write down every positive association, everything you think positive about money, okay? I'm going to start the clock now. Go. Just write down everything positive about money. So whatever you associate money is. If you feel stuck, just keep going. Just keep forcing yourself to write. Keep that pen moving. What are all of the positive things you believe about money? Okay, last 10 seconds, keep going. Everything positive, what are the positive associations you have around money? Okay, just stop. Whatever you got there is great. So hopefully you're looking at a page of some positive things and, some things you feel positive about money. Now we have the positive things noted down. I want you to do the same exercise, but this time write down all of the negative things you think about money. And maybe it's money is hard, money is evil, money is, challenging, whatever those beliefs are for you. You're going to take another minute now and write down all of the negative associations you have with money. Just go. All right, 30 seconds, keep going. If you feel your pen stopping, just push yourself. There's more in there. What are the negative associations you have? Keep getting them down on the paper. Last 10 seconds. Okay, and just pause where you are. So now you should be looking at a list of positive associations and negative associations. As you look at those and reflect on them, I'd like you to think about, money is, maybe it's a relationship. Maybe you're in a relationship with someone and you describe them in the ways that you have described on the paper there. If money was a relationship, would money want to stay around? Would money want to hang out with you if that's how you were describing them? For some of you that maybe yes, some of you it may be a no, some of you is a little bit mixed. Let's hear if you're happy to share, what are some of the negative associations you currently have? So if you're happy to share, just pop in the chat box what are the negative associations. And if you feel a little bit conscious about that, don't worry, we all have them, they're all in there. And by sharing it, you're going to help other people. So money is always running out. Money is greed. Yeah, okay. Money is corruption and working hard. Money causes admin, tax returns. Oh yeah, who wants to do tax returns? Ugh, no way. Money can cause jealousy. There's a belief there. Money is responsibility, divisive and hard to keep, is scarce, is in short supply, determines our worth. Oh, that's a really interesting one. Does money really determine our worth? Oof. So we can talk through that as well. Money is stressful. You can never have enough. It's hard work. Oh, money is fake friends. That's an interesting one. It's stressful, is a burden. It limits our options. Oh, money limits our options. That's an interesting one. It's harder for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven than it is to thread a camel through the eye of a needle. Oh, I like that one. Great job. It takes up a lot of time, finding it hard to make, creates divisions. Money is time sacrifice. It's restricting, it's stressful. Okay, so we got some really interesting beliefs in here that as I say them out, some of you will be going, oh yeah, those are true. And some of you will be going, oh, I can see why that would hold you back. Now, the point is, I said, this is about awareness. And once we have awareness that some of these beliefs are in there, that's making those choices every day. That's deciding whether you're going to surf, whether you're not going to surf. That's deciding whether you're going to make that profit or not. I wouldn't want to make profit, if it's going to, take up more of my time or mean more tax returns, or if I have to thread a camel through the eye of a needle. So these associations that we have them, how does it work? How does it limit us? And I want to share with the idea of like an air conditioning unit. Okay, so I've got it on here. You might even just keep the room. What temperature do you like the room to be? Maybe just type in the chat box for me. What temperature do you like the room to be? For me as a presenter, I like to keep it crisp 17 degrees. Keep everyone alert and awake. What have we got here? So yeah, 21, 24, 23, 26, 19. Depends whether it's winter or summer. It changes. That's true. 20, 22. Shane likes it at 22. The wife likes it at 45. Okay, that's going to cause some challenges. We might need to do a separate session on relationships there, Shane. Yeah, with the window open. Okay, 22. Hey, look, so it's different for everyone. Everyone has a different temperature they like the room to be. But let's just say, for argument's sake, now we set the room at a temperature of 20 degrees. Now, as the room gets hotter, it goes to 20. So I say you set it at 20, the room gets to 21, 22, 23. What does the air conditioning unit do? Kicks in some cool air and it brings it back down to 20. Once we get to that 20 degrees, maybe it goes a little bit too much cold air in there. It goes to 19, 18, 17. What does the air conditioning unit do? It kicks in some warmer air to bring it back up to 20. So the air conditioning unit is constantly bringing it up and down to arrive at that set point that we set up on the air conditioning unit. Now, the same is true for you in terms of your wealth. You have a set point that you set the number to, and it could be a certain bank balance that you keep coming back to. It could be a certain amount of revenue, because if you go over that revenue, it's going to mean some of these things. It's going to mean you got tax returns to do. It's going to mean you lose friends. It's going to mean that, you're hated or you take up time. So you're constantly bringing yourself back to that point. Now, for you, it may be a revenue number, or it may be a certain amount in your bank balance. There was another member of the, Basic Bananas community I was working with at one point, guy out of Brisbane, and we worked through this. And even though his business was doing multiple six figures per year, he had this realization, oh yeah, my bank balance is always $10,000. I always bring it back to $10,000. If I get more money, I find a way to spend it. If I get less money, I get remotivated and do my marketing. And I said, well, when did you decide the $10,000? And he said, well, when I started in business, that's what the other entrepreneurs said, that you always need to have $10,000 in your bank account. So that's what I thought it was. And that's just what I've always done. So even though his business had grown, he hadn't upgraded that set point, and it was beginning to cause troubles for him and problems for him. You imagine on a $100,000 business, only keep 10,000 in your bank account. It's not giving you the cash flow or the things that you need. Now, once we identified that and had that awareness and reset it, of course, we could get there. So these beliefs then, I was running through this with another lady at a workshop at the end of last year. And she said, oh, I'm not sure what my set point is. She said, I always just like to make sure I have enough money to cover my bills, right? So I always need to have enough money to cover my bills. Now, of course, that means zero. She gets enough money to cover her bills and, then she's good, right? Now, if we redefine that and change that set point, it helps say, hey, I need at least 50 grand more than my bills or 100 grand more than my bills. And that was the set point, and we work towards that. Well, of course, we can start raising that and moving up and change it. So these beliefs that you have, these associations then are driving you up and down to that point to always bring you back to that subconscious place that you've set. Now, some of you may have already put your finger on it and already be thinking around what that number is, what is that bank balance, what is that revenue? We'll come back to that in a minute. But we don't have an air conditioning unit to pumping cold air or pumping hot air. We have two other forces that drive all of our behavior. So the two forces that drive all of our behavior all of the time, do we know what they are? Could we type in the chat box? Two forces that drive all of your behavior, all of your actions, all of the time. What would they be? Fear, thoughts and actions, beliefs, feelings, doubts, fear, love. We're getting some that are really close. They're in the right ballpark. I haven't heard the exact things, your subconscious needs. All of these things drive behavior. Totally, totally true. The two that I'm looking for is pain and pleasure. We have this real motivation to get away from a pain, right? If there's something that's coming towards us that's going to hurt us, we got to get away from that pain. And on the other hand, we are really motivated to go towards this pleasure and attract this positive thing over here. And we're constantly doing that juggle. And that's like our air conditioning unit, right? If we feel as though something's going to cause us pain, we're going to do something to get away from that. If we feel as though we're going to be able to get pleasure from this, we may go towards it. Now, it's that constant moving between those two that really drive all of our decisions. Okay. So, and let's do a quick question for you this. Do you think you personally are more motivated to get away from a level of pain or go towards some pleasure? What do you think? You could say away from pain or towards pleasure. So yeah, Tony, away from pain. Oh, got a mixture here. Pain, away from pain, pleasure, pleasure, away from pain towards pleasure. Okay. And we've got a mix, right? We're all driven by different associations. I asked Francisca this before, and she was very much more driven towards the pleasure of the thing that she could get, right? Whereas myself, coming from my background, I always want to get away from the pain. That was my primary motivation. Let's ask this in a different way then. If you could keep me from taking $10,000 of your hard-earned cash from your bank account, or you could go out and make $10,000, what would you be more motivated by? Stopping someone taking 10,000 of your existing money, or going out and earning 10,000? What would be more motivating to you? So stopping or making? Yeah. Okay. We've got a bunch of entrepreneurs in here. Normally, in the general population, more people are driven to stop people from taking the money. But when I do this with entrepreneurial groups, of course, more driven to go out and make it. Catherine, not so sure. Either way, that's fine. So, but the whole idea behind this, then, we get these beliefs are actually hooked up to, is this going to cause us pain or is it going to cause us pleasure? If we can rewire those, we can change that set point. We can move it up, move it down, however we want. So the question is, as I talk about this, then I wonder, what is your set point? If you think about, and you don't have to type this in the chat box, it's a personal thing, you can keep this to yourself. What is your set point? Is there a certain amount of money that you keep coming back to in your bank account, right? You feel comfortable when you have that number, right? Maybe you're feeling as though, hey, if I have 10 grand in the bank account, that's okay. Or if I drop below 50, that's a stress, right? If I drop below 100, that's a big problem. Whatever that is for you, it may be different. For some of you, that may not even be that. I put positive numbers there. Some of you, set point may be 0 or even a minus number. Some people, are comfortable to be right on the edge of whatever credit that they have, right? So what is that? Is it a bank balance sheet, or is there a revenue number that you haven't yet broken through? Maybe you're stuck at, getting that 100 grand per year. Maybe you can't quite bust through the 250 grand a year. Maybe you can't get to a million, or you can't bust through, the 2 million mark. What is that? So just write those numbers down for you, because those are going to become very important. So if you recognize you've got a set point there, then we're going to look at how do we move that? How do we shift it? How do we change it? So if you've managed to write down a number, just give me a yes or a thumbs up in the box. Just want to make sure that everyone's got something. Okay, so it's mostly yes. Adam, if you can identify it, then we may need to dig a little bit further with you, perhaps on the back end of the call, perhaps when we get into the Q&A. For those of you who think that you don't really have a number, I would suspect that you probably do. I haven't met people who haven't yet. Normally there's something that you're comfortable with. I had a lady I was working with, and she didn't think she had a number, but when we looked at it, she always had to have a certain amount of revenue, and she knew if she had that revenue with the margin that they had, then she would make her numbers. So when we explore a little bit more deeply, we can. So you just have a think, is there a certain, for the people who say they haven't got a number, they don't know how to identify it, is there a certain amount of revenue that you haven't bust through? Is there like the upper limit? Maybe you've been can never get your business to 100 grand, or you can only ever get it to 250, and maybe you can't punch past that. What's that number that you haven't punched through yet? Or is there a certain, bank balance that you feel really stressed if you go below it? Those may be some clues. Now, I want to move on to the next topic then, because in all of my study around business, I kept hearing a similar point or a similar message all the way through. And it was that smart people have great answers and geniuses have great questions. So I started a podcast interviewing people who had success to discover what was the questions that they were asking themselves that had the biggest positive impact in their life. And I found some really amazing questions along the way, and these are going to be really important to you. I think one of the most important questions that I found along the way is just this 3-word question. And it's so super powerful. I think it could change everything for you. If we focus in on just this area alone, I think it could really raise the game for you. And it's this one. It's, who am I? Who am I? Okay, and why is it so powerful? Now, Keenan, I know you are completely onto this one already. I remember my wife talking to me about this. I think you were encouraging her to ask something similar to this, like, who are you? So who am I? Now, why is this who am I so important? Because the strongest force in our human psyche is to remain consistent with how we define ourselves. So what we say about ourselves is how we want to show up. Right? Whatever I say about myself, I want to show up and be in congruence with that. I want to be in alignment with that. If I was to say that in a different way, Maxwell Maltz explains it is you can never outperform your own self-image. Right? You can never outperform your own self-image. So how you see yourself is how you're going to show up. So this question of who am I? I'm intrigued to know, how is it that you currently define yourself, and how is that impacting your results and how you're showing up? I'll give you a couple of examples. I'm going to give you a non-business example. I wanted to be able to run a marathon. I hadn't run a marathon yet, but I started saying, I am a marathon runner. I started telling other people, I am a marathon runner. Once I started saying that outwardly, I actually had to book myself in for a marathon, put a date in the calendar. I actually had to get a training plan and start training. I had to get the running shoes. Now, once I started saying to people, I am a marathon runner, interesting things happened. People started to say, hey, have you got this diet plan? Have you got this training plan? Have you considered these types of shoes? Have you tried running there? Have you tried this running group? And so people started providing resources and information and tools to help me get there. Now, because I started saying I am a marathon runner, I then started to behave like I was. And eventually, I booked in for that run. I ran the marathon. It happened. But the identity came first. I worked out who I needed to be. Then I worked out what I had to do. And then I had the result. This works same in our business as well. Let me give you one other example. I used this methodology because it was working, and I started saying, I am an author. I am an author. I am an author. I didn't get around to writing, but then one day I kept saying this all the time. I am an author. I'm an author. I'm an author. And then this book came out of me, this kid's book. I had no intention of writing a kid's book, but for whatever reason, it came through me. I think my brain got to the point where I said, I've been saying it so long, it was my identity. I actually had to materialize it. I had to produce something in the world to be like it. Okay, so What are we saying about ourselves? How are you identifying yourself? How is that impacting you in your business? Okay, I'm going to give you a few examples of negative ways that people identify themselves. So we have a member of the Basic Bananas community, absolutely awesome lady, but she was having some problems sleeping. And she would come into the calls and, with me, and she was very tired, very low energy. And we discovered that she was having this problem sleeping. And I started speaking to her about it. And she had this belief, I am a terrible sleeper. I am a terrible sleeper. And the more she would say it, the more she would be a terrible sleeper. She would, would get 2 or 3 hours, sleep per night. And as a consequence, didn't have the energy for her business, couldn't focus on the things she needed to do, and couldn't get the results that she wanted to get. So we shifted that belief, we changed that belief. And she took on a belief that I have, which is I'm an amazing sleeper. I can sleep anywhere. Now, that belief may not be good in some situations. I've probably fallen asleep in places I shouldn't have done, but for most of the time, it serves me. I am an amazing sleeper. And so she took on that belief. Now, what was interesting, once she took on that belief and started, finding examples of how it was true, she managed to get into a more regular routine of sleep. Okay, she started saying it to herself, and she managed to go from having like an average of 2 or 3 hours a night to up to 6 hours per night. Because she had that belief, she then started seeking out help and support. She went and found, traditional Chinese medicine person. They gave her the relevant herbs, and now she gets consistently 8 hours of sleep. She could have done those things in the first place, but her belief of being I am a terrible sleeper, it didn't allow her to go out and find the solutions. But when she shifted that belief, I am an amazing sleeper, she could start finding those solutions. Now, the upside of that, this isn't about a sleep, about your sleep regime or anything. If you've got problems with sleep, see a specialist, see an expert, right? I completely get that. But the point is, because she shifted that belief and identity in herself, she started sleeping while she had more energy. We managed to create a webinar together. And she messaged me yesterday. That webinar, she created the first webinar 3 weeks ago. Since then, she's had $75,000 worth of sales come off of that webinar. She wouldn't have been able to put that together when she was struggling to sleep. She wouldn't have had the vision or the energy to do it, right? So some of these peripheral beliefs around our identity are really impacting our business. Okay, so if we can get that shifted and get some positive I am statements, it can really help. I'd love to get a yes in the chat box. Who has a belief that they're awful at remembering names, or they're terrible at remembering names? If that's you, just give a yes. I know a lot of us have it. All right, that's actually way more than I expected. So Lucinda, great job. You said no. For those of you who said yes, if I would give you $1 million for every name that you remembered, would you become good at remembering names? If I gave you $1 million for every name that you remembered, would you become sure? Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. Okay. Of course, right? I'm saying of course. So isn't it interesting then? So it's perhaps a little bit of motivation there. If you said, I am amazing at remembering names because you were wired up to the pleasure you're going to get of having $1 million per name, you would become amazing at remembering names. So this is a shift in belief. I am amazing at remembering names. Now, the more you shift that and the more you start to say, I'm amazing at remembering names, you're going to start to find techniques and ways to do it. Okay. And I know I've done this. I've tried this. Do I get every name right all the time? I don't. But since saying I'm great at remembering names, I am more actively trying to remember the names. I'm doing things to make associations and, and connect the dots. So let's run for another exercise then. This one is a little bit like the money is exercise, but instead we're going to work through how do you identify yourself? Okay, we're going to go through these I am statements. Okay, so we're going to do it in 2 parts. We're going to get the positive first. First, I'd like you to identify. You're going to have about a minute. You're going to write down all of the positive things you say about yourself. So it may be, I am fun, I am happy, I am strong, I am great, whatever it is about yourself. So have 1 minute, write down as many things you can that are positive that you say about yourself. So I am, 1 minute, off you go. Keep going. If your pen is stopped, just push through. There's some more positive I ams in there. Okay, last 10 seconds. Okay, and wherever you're at, just stop there. Now let's do the same thing, but let's identify what are the negative things you say about yourself, the negative associations you have. So maybe I am lazy, I am tired, I am slow, I am grumpy, whatever it is. Write down that. So what are the things that you say that you feel are maybe negative? You can have a minute on that. So 1 minute, off you go. Thirty seconds remaining. Keep going. There's more in there. Just get them all out on the paper. Okay, last 10 seconds. Okay, all right, just finish and come back. Great job. Well done on getting those down. Sometimes not always an easy thing to reflect on. So who am I? What are the positives? What are the negatives? I just want to check with you. Sometimes it is important about what you didn't say. Who define themselves as a business owner? If you define yourself as a business owner, put a yes in the chat box. If you didn't, define yourself with a no. Okay, bit of a mix here. If you didn't define yourself as a business owner, why not? Aren't you a business owner? Do you take on that identity? What would happen if you defined yourself as a growing business owner or a profitable business owner? Yeah, Keenan, it is what you do. You just do it. So that's great. It's in your identity already. That's good. But we're looking for qualities. Yeah, that's okay. That's good. But is that who I am? Yeah, Susanna, really great question. If you don't define yourself as a business owner, are you going to show up as a business owner? I was at an event and it was called the Masters Retreat, and no one in the room defined themselves as masters. Well, if they were actually masters, if they were very masterful, wouldn't they show up differently? Wouldn't they be doing things differently? So Lucinda, yes, business is what you do. But hey, the point I'm going for here is I've met a lot of people along the way who don't define themselves as a business owner, and then they don't act and behave in the way of a business owner. So that's the distinction there. And look, if you believe that you are a business owner and you're already performing and acting that way, great, that's cool. That point may not be relevant for you. So here's the bigger question though. So what are the things that you're not defining yourself as? What are the things that if you did define yourself as, it may actually change? What are some of the more aspirational identities? What if you did define yourself as an entrepreneur? What if you define yourself as a millionaire entrepreneur? What if you define yourself as a multi-millionaire entrepreneur? Would you begin to look at opportunities differently? Would you begin to behave differently? Would you begin to take different actions? In the same way I said, I am a marathon runner. That was who I wanted to be. Then I had to do different things. So yeah, I am a profitable business owner. Adam, it's totally true. If you start to define yourself as a profitable business owner and your business isn't in profit yet, watch what happens, watch what changes. Okay. So these things that we say to ourselves over and over, and actually, I just want to be mindful of the time. We're right at the top of the hour. I reckon I got another 10, 15 minutes of things to go through. So if you're happy to stay with me, I'm gonna keep going. If you need to drop off, don't worry. We've got a recording on this anyway. So these things that you say to yourself, these things that we affirm and we repeat to ourselves actually have a big impact in our business. Shane, you can stay here all week. Great. I'll be with you. That's awesome. I have enough. We could keep going for a whole week on this. There's quite a lot we can do. I think I'm trying to shoehorn a 3-day workshop into an hour. So Shane, we can do that. Oh, Peter, great to see you. So these beliefs can really have a major impact on us. So I had this one that I picked up along the way, and I've got it written on the wall in front of me. So I see it every day and I repeat it. And it's this one. I am a money magnet and money flows to me from the most amazing places. Now, it was interesting. Once I started seeing that and writing that, amazing things started to happen. You know, all of a sudden I had new clients come from nowhere. I had past clients contact me wanting to create work with me. I had an unexpected tax refund. I had an introduction to a new alliance partner that was giving me more leads. I had it was a small inheritance, but I had a small inheritance come from a relative I didn't even know I had. Right. So all of these possibilities are out there and things started showing up once I started saying that. So you can keep that one and try that one on for yourself. I shared this with a couple of clients, you know, in Europe, and one in particular, Mickey, he jumps out at me. He's an executive. He works for a Swiss company. He's based in Wales in the UK. Anyway, he started saying this, and the very week that he started to say it, he had an investment that doubled. Okay, he had a pay rise backdated. His company that he was working for had been going through some financial turbulence and some very tough times. And yet his boss came to him and said, we're giving you a pay rise. We're backdating that pay rise for 5 months. So he got pay rise for the 5 months he'd already worked, and we're upping your bonus by 10%. So he had this massive increase. And he took his auntie to bingo. He said they go to bingo all the time. They never ever win at bingo. And they won 3 times in one night. Okay, could be coincidence, could be completely coincidence, but it's interesting. Once we start saying these things and repeating them, things show up in our environment, things start to happen, right? We turn our mind on, we're putting on these gym spectacles and starting to see the opportunity around us and see things that were probably always there that we're letting slip by. Okay, so Muhammad Ali, you would recognize this guy. He said, it's the repetition of these affirmations that leads to belief. And once that belief becomes a deep conviction, things begin to happen. So once we start to believe these things that we're saying, then we can really embody them and we start taking the actions, or we start seeing the opportunity all around us and we can start taking that. So whatever you got down is your I ams. We're going to start reinforcing some of those, and maybe some of them we need to examine and choose to let go if they're no longer serving us. So okay, I've been a little bit, you know, intellectual mindset on this. Let's do a short activity. Now, I can't see you on this, so I'm going to have to just trust that you play along with the game, okay? So you agree you're going to participate. So this is one that you really need to participate for. In this short exercise, I'd like you right now to reach as high as you can. Just reach as high as you can. Now reach higher. Find a way, now reach higher. Okay, now I can't see you, which is a little bit weird for me doing this exercise, but here's what I'm expecting just happen, because every time I do this in a live room, it does. When I say reach as high as you can, people do some half-hearted little here, and maybe they go here. When I say reach higher, people find a way to get on their tiptoes, they find a way to stand on their desk, they find a way to jump. Is that what happened with you? I'm guessing that's probably what happened with you. If something like that happened with you, just give me a yes in the chat box. Yeah. Yeah, okay, Jessica stood on a ladder right now. Okay, climb down a little bit carefully. Yes, okay. Okay, phew, that worked, even though I couldn't see you. So this is a point in human behavior. We say go as high as we can, but there's actually a higher level. There's a higher standard in all of you than you're challenging yourself to right now. Okay, there are certain things personally and certain things in your business where you could be accomplishing more than you are. And I'll give you an example. There was a client out of Brisbane, and he manufactured and sold kitchens. And I asked him about his sales conversion. Now, he is the leader of the business, could convert at 80%, but his sales team were converting around 15 to 20%. So their standard was way lower than his. Okay, so we set a new standard. We said, hey, to be in this business, we get good quality leads, so the conversion rate needs to be 50%. Knowing he could do 80%, 50% was a good bar. Once we set that standard for the sales team and they knew the conversion ratio was 50%, so to convert 1 and 2, that very next week, their sales conversion started to increase because they knew there was a higher standard that we're getting measured to. Now, across the next 6 months, because we set that standard in the business, we started to do work together to help them improve that. We gave them better marketing materials. We gave them training in rapport. We gave them, you know, a new guarantee. We started doing all the little things we could to get to 50%. Now, I think in 6 months, I don't think we quite got to 50%. We got to 40%. So they've gone from around about 20% to 40%. Their business doubled because we set a new standard. And so what I wonder for you, as you look around your business, where do you need to raise the standard? Where are you not setting the standard high enough? Maybe you don't have a big enough standard for the amount of leads that you're going to get. Maybe you don't have a big enough standard for the amount of conversion, your conversion ratio. Maybe you haven't set a big enough standard for how much you're going to charge or what you're going to deliver your clients. Maybe you've not set a standard on how many hours you're going to work. Maybe you're working too many hours. Maybe you don't have a high enough standard with your customer service or your delivery, or you don't have a high enough standard for yourself to say no to clients. So just reflect for yourself. Where do you need to raise the standard in your business? Just take a minute on that. Where do you need to raise the standard? Write those down. If you've got one you feel really strongly about that you want to share in the chat box, you're most welcome to. But where do you most need to raise the standard in your business? Yeah, Lucinda, raise the standard with your rates. Nice, great place to start. Oh yeah, Peter, raise your standards with your kind of client. This is really interesting conversation. I've been working with an IT business, and we work through who are their A-grade clients who they love working with, and who are the challenging clients that they don't love working with. And it's interesting, once you raise your standard and say, hey, I want more of those and less of those, well, we can actually attract more of those and begin to let those lower quality clients go. We don't have to serve everyone. We want to serve the ones that work with us. Yeah, Sandy, your time management, it's important to set the standard on that. And it's so easy. I've certainly fallen into this trap over the years. You can work and work and work and work and actually not get the outcome, right? Yeah, standard around your admin, sending your invoices promptly. That can cause a bit of a challenge. You don't send the invoices, the revenue doesn't come in, you don't have the cash flow you need. That's going to be an immediate one to impact your profitability and customer engagement. So thank you for sharing those. So let's flip this a slightly different way as well then, because standards is one piece, but the other way I can say this is you don't get what you deserve, you get what you tolerate. You may want to write that one down. You don't get what you deserve in life, you get what you tolerate. So if you are tolerating some of these crappy customers or suppliers who are late, or team members who don't do what they're meant to do when they're meant to do them, or your sales team not converting, or you tolerate, I know, maybe even your car's got a scratch down the side, it's messy inside. What are these things that you're actually tolerating? So just write down those for yourself. What are the things that, this is at the other end of the things. What are the things you're tolerating that are holding you back? Just give yourself a list of those. Okay, just 30 seconds on that. Got to get clarity on what you're tolerating. What don't you want to put up with anymore? Okay. So I'm going to presume right now that you've got a list of things that you want to have a higher standard on, things that you're no longer going to tolerate. And this becomes very powerful in your business, because once we make that statement, that definition, like I'm no longer going to put up with that, I'm going to increase my sales conversion ratio, I'm going to increase the number of leads, I'm going to no longer work with that type of client. Once we set those standards, we can put them into reality. Now, what it takes is for us to be very clear on that and make a decision and commit to that. Once we commit to that and we start vocalizing that to the external world, then things can show up and things can happen. And I want to show you a little bit of an extreme example here from the movie Jerry Maguire. Has anyone seen the movie Jerry Maguire? Because you're going to love this clip. Just watch this clip for a second. And I want you to notice about how he's very clear on what he wants. Okay, he's not going to tolerate anymore, and the standard that he wants.
Yeah, what can I do? You just tell me, what can I do? It's a very personal, very important thing. Yeah, it's a family life. Ready, Johnson? Ready. Want to make sure you're ready? Here it is. Show me the money. Okay. Read money. Yeah, they're gonna show you the money. Show me the money.
Ah, audio not working. What a shame. Is that for all of you? Are you lip reading okay? All right. Some of you know what he's shouting anyway. Hey, what a shame. That's never not happened before. So I don't quite know why that is. The audio is not working. Now that might actually stuff up the next exercise we have to do as well. So we'll see. So the whole idea of that video anyway was that he's shouting, "Show me the money." And I think during the movie, he gets very clear on that with his agent, and they work together and they find a way. And I think the whole point is that money is only an idea. If we want more money, we just got to simply change our thinking. And so you got very clear now with some identity beliefs. You got very clear with some money mindset beliefs, and some things that you're going to no longer tolerate, and some higher standards. These are some of the first places to start. What I wanted to run through with you for the final piece here was actually a bit of a visualization exercise. Now, it's got an amazing, it was inconsistent at the beginning. So Rebecca, you had the sound. So did the audio work for any of you, or it was just some of you? Because the next thing I wanted to do was an amazing visualization technique with audio. It came in and out. Okay, that's weird. I wonder what I need to change here, if there's anything I can change. I'm going to run with the next visualization process and I hope it works. So some in and out, some didn't work. This is the first time I've had this challenge. Actually, I don't really know what to do to resolve this. So I'm going to roll on with the next piece and see if it works. And so, yeah. Okay, we're just going to roll with it. We're going to go. I'm going to do this next visualization exercise. If you can hear the audio, it's going to be amazing. If you can't hear the audio, it's still going to be good anyway. So we'll just run with the next exercise. So what I'd like you to do right now is just get comfortable, take a seat, make sure you get your feet firmly planted into the ground. Yeah, change my thinking around the sound. Yeah, that sounds great. I am amazing with technology is the one I probably need to figure out for next time. So just plant your feet firmly in the ground, sit back in your seat, and just want you to close your eyes, just shake your shoulders out and shake off any tension or negativity that's not serving you. And like you just imagine right now that you have a bubble around you, and that bubble keeps you completely safe. And in that bubble, you're going to be able to float up out of your body. So you can float up to the top of the room and you can look down and see yourself, beneath yourself. And you can float up above, the building that you're in. You can float up above the streets, the area. And you can look down and you still see yourself down there. You can float up above the whole state, the whole continent. You float up there right above the whole of the earth, and you can still see yourself down there. And I want you to imagine that in this bubble, you can see there's two directions. There's one direction that's the past. So if you can just point right now to where is the past for you? Okay, great. I just can presume you've got the past. And then I'd also like you to point to the future. Where is the future for you? Okay, great. I'm going to presume you have a future. What I encourage you to do is I'm going to encourage you to float out into the future. You're going to float all the way out to 5 years into the future. So float all the way out to 5 years into the future. Now, what you can notice is down there is you 5 years into the future. Now that you 5 years into the future is someone who has stepped in to the most empowering identity. All those positive I am statements where you're being your best version of yourself, where you raise the standards and you're no longer tolerating that stuff you don't want to tolerate. That version of you down there that has the money mindset beliefs that are really going to allow you to have the wealth and the profitability that you want is the best version of you. There's no limitations. Okay. And I'm going to have you float down to that version of you, and you're going to hover just above that version of you. Okay. And as you get down there and you get closer, I'd like you to go ahead and step right into that version of you. Step right inside of that version of you so that you're inside of it, looking through your own eyes. Hearing the sounds around you and feeling the feelings of being right inside that vision now. And notice what you say to yourself in your own mind when you think of having made that vision happen now. And notice the tone of voice that you say it in. Very good. Now it's time to adjust the qualities of the picture. These are like the little knobs at the bottom of the television set. So if it's a still picture, you want to add movement and notice if that affects the feeling of reality in your body. If you need to speed up the movement or slow it down, do it so it's just right for you. If it's a black and white picture, maybe you want to change it to color and notice how that affects it. If you need to adjust the brightness of the color, turn the brightness right up and leave it where it's just right. Very good. Now, how about the zoom lens? Like the zoom lens on a camera, if you need to zoom in on any part of the experience, just zoom right in or zoom right back out and leave it where it's perfect, where it feels the most real. And notice any sounds around you that are important as you are right there inside of that vision. If you need to adjust any of the qualities of the sounds, notice you can do that easily. And once again, notice what you say to yourself when you think of having the power to design your destiny in any way that you choose. What do you say to yourself? Notice the tone of voice you say it in, and notice the feeling in your body as you're right there inside of that goal. Notice there is a location to the feeling, or a size, or a shape, or a temperature, or a vibration. Now turn that feeling up like the volume knob on a television. Quadruple the level of feeling and intensity in your body right now. Turn it up. Very good. Now go ahead and step out of that picture. Step out of the picture, but leave your body in the picture like a Polaroid or a snapshot of you having attained that vision. And now that you've attained that vision, we're going to energize it with 3 life breaths. First, I'm going to get you to do a deep inhale. And then let it out. Watching that picture become vibrant, brilliant, and alive. Again, breathe in. And one more time. Just feel that feeling. Let it wash all over your body. Times it by 5, times it by 10, times it by 100. As you enjoy that feeling, look back along the timeline. Look how things have changed over the last 5 years to create what you have now. And whenever you're ready, just float back along that timeline, back above the room where you are, and feel free to float back down into your body. As you land and arrive back in your body, take a deep breath and feel free to open your eyes and just notice something you haven't noticed in the room yet today. Okay. As you've done that, grab your pen and paper, and I just want you to write down, what was that vision that you just had? Write down all of the detail that you can remember it. What did you see, this 5-year you? What are you going to create? What do you see? What did you hear? What did you feel? Just write that down. Take a minute or 2 to get down all of the detail that you can. Okay, last 10 seconds, get that written down. And Keenan, thank you for that. Yeah, maybe there's an issue with the mic cancelling out the background noise. That visualization sounded amazing on this end with the music I had, but maybe you guys had it without the music. So we might need to fix up that technical challenge next time. So once you've written down that vision, I'd love for someone to share in the chat box. What was the thing that you saw or experienced in that visualization? Just want to make sure that you got something, even if the sound didn't quite work as I had anticipated. Okay, anyone else like to share? What do we get? An amazing feeling of having created a life for myself. Awesome, Catherine. Relaxed and family time. You have an aircon in your office. That's great. You're stronger, more confident, bright, happy, limitless, successful. Okay, great. So even without the background music is awesome. So that's good. Carefree. Sitting in your new office with a vast product line and a busy office. So these are great. These are some very amazing visualizations. Now, self-confident, decisive, confident. It's amazing that you bring all of this back now and you can start acting and behaving in that way right now. Remember, it's what we are going to show up and be, and then we can do, and then we can have. So if we're going to show up and bring these feelings back now, it's going to happen. You achieve your 3-year project plan, you know, glass-walled offices, coffee machine, 3 or 4 staff, large leaf plants, free to enjoy your family time, tall, strong, happy, and connected and helping others. So this is amazing. So you've shifted or identified at least some money beliefs today. You've identified some identity beliefs. You've set some new standards and things you're not going to tolerate. And you've got a very clear vision of the way forwards. I've gone way over the time that I was meant to. So thank you all for sticking with me and being here. As I say, I've got so much I want to add to you and share to you. So if you are feeling as though now that you've got this identity and you're clear on what you want, if you wanted to have some support to work through that, given that you're part of the Awesome Basic Bananas community, I'm very happy to serve and support you. So if you're feeling you'd like to have some support on that, I'm happy to have a complimentary session with you. And let me just paste the link in the chat box here. There you go. So there's a link. Feel free to click that link and find yourself a time in there. I'd be more than happy to spend a bit of time with you, get clear if there was anything specific from today's session that we can work through and get you set up for the future. That's great. If you don't feel as though you want to have help with that, then that's completely fine as well. I do have some additional bonus gifts for the rest of you, and it's on this page here, profit.gifts. If I can paste that in the chat box for you as well, then I will. And then feel free to click there. And there's some awesome content and some videos in there that will really help. So before you run, I'd just like you to reflect for yourself. What were the top 3 insights that you took out of today? So just write down for yourself. If there were 3 key things that come out of today, top 3 things, what were they? Just write those down for yourself. And once you've identified those 3 things, just write the number 1. What was the most important one? Just write that in the chat box. Yeah, Peter, raising your standard across the different aspects of your business. Totally. That would be a game changer. You had the realization of a stuck belief around your sales numbers. That's great to have that realization. The money beliefs, importance of affirmations, what you tell yourself is so key. Belief, need to focus on the future version of myself. Yeah, Sandy, that's it. See yourself the way you want to be, and then start acting in accordance with that. The value of affirmations, visualize my goal, focus on priorities. Awesome. So we've got some really powerful ones there. Now, I know we've got a handful of minutes remaining. So if there are any questions, I'm open to questions. I presume, can you unmute yourself and ask the questions? If you can, you're welcome to, or if you want to type them in the chat box, that's great. So get committed to daily affirmations, Keenan. Awesome. Need to work on beliefs and understanding them. Yes, getting clear on who, what are these beliefs? Let's work through them. That's great. So if there are any questions, I don't know if you can unmute. I don't know if we have that set up here, do we?
I think I'm the only one, but the rest you can.
The power.
Yeah, I think everyone can type in the chat.
There you go.
Yes,
So
do
we got a good one from Sandy. So any tips for avoiding tasks I view as hard or unfun? So yes, there's a couple of things we could do around that. One, if it's that hard or that challenging for you, can we outsource it? Can we get it onto someone else's plate? Right. I think that's, yeah, delegating is a good place to. Now, that's not always something that's possible, even though we have valuable resources like Upwork or onlinejobs.ph. We can get people at, reasonably low cost to do these things, or interns to do these things. But if we still have to do them ourselves, I want you to ask yourself the question, what can I notice, appreciate, or believe about this task that will make it easier for me to do? So what can I notice, appreciate, or believe? It could be that we just shift our focus on that. We change our perception on it. Okay, so let's just say I'm going to pick a task that I find hard to do: gardening. Not in any hurry to go out there and cut the grass, right? But actually, what can I notice, appreciate, or believe? Well, actually, I can start to notice that actually it's great for me. I'm out in the sun, I'm exercising, I'm moving my body. I can begin to notice those things are important to me. I can notice that actually I can make it more fun. I can make it a growth activity because I can put in some audio and I can start listening to things as I do it. And then that makes it more rewarding because I'm training my brain and exercising at the same time. So sometimes it's changing our perception around it. The other time, if it's not changing the perception, sometimes it's changing the procedure. Is there a way that you can do that task to make it fun? So I'll give you an example. My wife, trying to get the kids out of the house in the morning to school, they're sometimes not in a hurry to go, they don't want to go. So we can change that. It can be a bit of a slog, it can be a fight, it can be a battle, or what we do is we change how we do it. We just stick some music on. We have a 2-minute dance party. Everyone dances around, has fun. The energy changes, the state changes, and then we walk out the door. So the other piece, Sandy, I can go on about this one all day long, but there's a great book. I don't know if you guys have seen this one before. I just got it in close to me. Who is it? Atomic Habits. We can begin to build new habits. We can begin to link some of these tasks that aren't quite so comfortable to other things. Okay. Yes, Sandy loves that book. And so just link it, start stacking these things. So if you don't really feel like doing it, then just get it lined up. Brian Tracy, one of my early mentors on this, he used to say, eat that frog. And he means eat, the biggest, most challenging thing first of the day. So just get it lined up for the start of your day when you've got the most energy, the most resourcefulness, and just get it done. One of the things that I've been doing as well around this, personally, for a thing that's hard, for me, who likes cold showers? Who likes the idea of an ice bath? Right. For me, that was a definition of hell. I couldn't even go to get in the ocean on a hot summer's day. It was too cold for me. Right. I'm soft. I couldn't do that. Right. And the idea, but I went and did a course around breathing. And in that breathing, they kind of had part of it is ice baths. And I did it. I took the challenge and I did it. Now, sometimes putting ourselves through uncomfortable things makes it easier to do them. So I could never do a cold shower. I couldn't get in. It was like a trauma response. I get in and I couldn't do it. I just couldn't. And yet by challenging myself and pushing myself out of the comfort zone and doing, a couple of ice baths on this course, to come home and then get into that cold shower, I've been able to do it. So I think sometimes if things are a little bit hard, we can kind of challenge ourselves. Can we make it a challenge? Can we make it a game? Can I overcome this challenging thing? Now that I can go and do a cold shower, it makes me feel like I can do other challenging things, like writing a book. I've always wanted to write a book, could never start, too hard, right? But now I can sit down and write because it's challenging and I'm setting myself that challenge. So a few different ideas. Yeah, at Firewalk, exactly the same concept. The hard tasks focus on how you feel afterward rather than before. Yes, focus on the feeling of having it accomplished, what it's going to be like when it's done. So that's good. Catherine, what can we do first? I think what you can do first is let's get really clear on those standards. Let's identify what are the things that you're no longer going to tolerate and get those out of your life. Find a way to get those off of your plate, and then get clear on the things that you want to improve. Now, you pick one thing and you think, hey, if I change that thing, if it's a sales conversion, or if I change, the number of leads, if that's my one thing and I focus on that and I do a little bit on that every single day, that's going to move me towards it. I think the other thing you can focus on off the back of this call is that identity. Who are you? Who are you stepping into? Who are you going to be? That visualization, get connected with it. Remember it on a daily basis, and that will pull you towards it. Sandy, if you're looking at the vision and what you want to accomplish, that task is going to seem small in comparison. So frame it in terms of what's the bigger thing that you can accomplish as well. Do we have any other questions? Anything else? No other questions? Yeah, okay. Well, then in which case, I think there's no other questions. If you did think of some afterwards or you want to connect with me, feel free to click the link that I put in the chat box there. Would love to speak with you, help you and serve you. If you want to go and get access to those free gifts, it's great. And that, thank you all for staying here so long. I know I've gone way over. And so I really appreciate you still being here. And thank you all so much. Love to you all. And I'll catch you guys again on the next one.
Awesome work, Kevin. Thanks so much. Brilliant once again, as usual. Do you want to maybe paste the link in the chat again, just because it might be lost a million by there's been a lot of posts on it, or even whack it in the where would we, oh no, Q&A won't work, they won't see it. Yeah, but just maybe paste it again in the chat, your for that booking. The I do recommend just give it a click, that Calendly link for sure. It's an awesome and very rare opportunity to get a free session with Kevin. I've taken them myself and always been super beneficial. So the advice is just do it. You'd be silly not to, because you got the opportunity. You've seen, or you may have seen, I'm not sure where, but those of you who have been part of the Basic Bananas community for a while, just only a couple of months back, we had a post in the community from, it was Polo, one of the members, had a one of these sessions a few months back, and he just posted raving about it and all the results, and things that he implemented as a result. So yeah, just do it. That's basically my advice to you. And thanks once again so much. And we will have Kevin back. We'll get him back. I reckon we should. So we'll have plenty more from Kevin ongoing in the future. And there's a lot of topics and a lot of content that you could share for sure. So definitely we will be having him back, on multiple occasions. So really do appreciate it. And always a pleasure to listen to. He's a great presenter, isn't he? And so it's always entertaining and so knowledgeable at the same time. So really, really cool session. Thank you, Kevin. Thanks so much for taking the time to be here and share generously. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. My entire pleasure. And I'm going to take away a new belief today. I am great at technology. And by the next time we speak, the music and audio is going to work. I am great at technology. I am great at technology. So thank you all so much. I appreciate it.
Oh, very good. Very good. And the I'll just leave it open. There's the arm clock on the back wall here for another 45 seconds. So if you haven't clicked that link for Kevin yet, once the session closes off, it will disappear. So if you're sitting there wondering, should I not click it, at least click it now so you have it open in your browser, and then you can create a new belief about, am I going to procrastinate on clicking, or booking that session or not. You can work through that belief after the session, but at least you've got the link if you do want to jump on it. So definitely just click the link and then you've got it, and we'll keep it open. Thanks for all the thank you messages as well. Oh, thank you. I got a thank you there as well. Thank you, Shane. Good man. I appreciate it. Thank you. And well, I think that's a wrap. Awesome work. Well, great stuff. We can close it off. You've got the control now, Kevin, so it's all in your hands as I made you host, so you're the official one to end the session. But I think that's a wrap there, so I'm gonna run. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Love to you all. We'll catch you next time. Take care. Thanks, Krista.
Yeah.